Welcome to Missing the Point. Welcome. Strange day to be recording this, I have to say, Ray. It's just me and Hollywood Ray Buchanan today, and Charlie Kirk got shot. So that's the day we're recording this. And honestly, whatever side of the political spectrum you fall on, violence is never the answer. We don't know, what happened. We don't know who the shooter is even. What we do know is the shooter was definitely not either Caleb Williams or Drake May, because they would have sailed that shot right over his head. So, without further ado, this is a sports podcast. We're not talking about that shit. We're talking about sports and how neither of our QBs have good accuracy. What do you say, Ray? What do you know? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean that was a good way to pull them in there.
We
No,
call that a segue
it's
in the
true. It's
biz.
true. It's true. It's true. We had a chance to go crazy about it on Monday, but it was a really pedestrian performance from Drake May. Once again, I think last year we would have been pleased because we had no expectations, but to come in with a somewhat improved roster, not to the point where they were going to win 12, 13 games, but having a new coach, having new schemes in there, you know, to the naked eye, 30 or 46 looks okay for 287, but there was no impact on the game from the QB position at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is the power ranking show, and obviously you guys did a New England specific show on Monday. I
Mm.
just wanted to get your take specifically on the quarterback play, because I have a lot to say about the quarterback play around the league. And
Yeah.
I just wonder, are you please do go listen to Ray and Mike knocked out that show on Monday. It was a good one. They go really in depth, but I'm just curious, just to sort of set the tone for this, because I think QB play is kind of the only thing. Week one overreactions, dies like deaths on hills, wet
Mhm.
blanket takes. It doesn't interest us anymore here, to be honest with you. It's just something that happens every year as we watch week one of the NFL, and you can't base much on it. So I
Yeah.
think what I learned was about the standard of quarterback play. I think that's the only really solid thing that I could sort of see across the league that really jumped out at me, right? So that's kind of what the theme of the power ranking show that I want to go for today. And just based, we'll start with Drake May. You're saying not a game changer, not a game changer week one,
From week one,
in a
no.
pretty winnable game, right?
Correct. No,
So
they was up 10-7 at the half, so yeah. And you got the
are you
ball.
optimistic? What's the deal? Where are you going from here?
Yeah, we talked about them beating Miami Sunday, so I still think they found a way to
At
win.
least you're playing Miami week two.
Yeah, but they've been historically, regardless of the quarterback, a house of horrors in Miami, right? We've had a good shot to get them up here, but we haven't had.
They
Uh,
got fucking dog walked by the Colts, though, right? I mean, you couldn't have asked
oh,
for a better
well,
game
could
in
actually
week
better,
one for
but it's
them.
just like that, and we alluded to it on Monday, but I was just like, this is what I was alluding to in the off season when we talked about when we had our, the game show that we did or prediction show. I was like, I didn't think six was low. I didn't, and and because some people that listened to us, it was like that lived down there. It was like, man, what's wrong with you? I'm like, no. I said, one, I don't have to look through the rose-colored glasses. Like, I don't think they're that good, and they're not. Like, and that's not that wasn't I came into the season feeling that way. So week one just furthered my point.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
Yeah, no, you were so right. You and I talked about it on the prediction show, and I gave like sort of a half-hearted defense, I think, of Mike
yeah,
McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, where I was just trying to offer an alternate perspective on what this season's Dolphins could look like. Maybe they're the nobody believes in us team. Maybe they're the we love our coach, we don't want to get him fired team. Like I could see some storylines playing out preseason that the obvious cold hard slap of reality that always hits us week one hit me in the face. Ever the pragmatist you were trying to tell me to just not die on that. And obviously I wasn't dying on the hill. I was just, pontificating, speculating, right? It
yeah.
wasn't a
Well, no, I
hard
mean,
take, but like, damn, dude, they sucked.
no, but it was relevant, obviously, for the game that we were playing, like to give different perspective, and that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I don't want that one on my official record. I have a few L's to take today, so I don't want that one on my official take
no,
record. Just I know
no,
I wasn't going that
I
hard on
have,
it.
and you'll like some things I say later on when we get down the list too. But no, I mean, like I said, if we're gonna if we're gonna make certain statements about players, then we have to give credit when they play well, but we also have to critique when things don't go well either. And like I said, that's just how I felt about Drake May. I know you had your feelings about what happened with Caleb, and it's funny. I told him I really hate that he had missed DJ Moore on that route on that up and out because one, it was a beautiful play from Ben Johnson. Like had a guy run to the flat. I mean, my God. I mean, just I mean, he couldn't have been more wide open, and it was just a beautiful play design. I just hate that he sailed it because he is in his stride. Now you can play the timeout game a little differently. Who
I mean,
knows,
does
right?
anyone relate to what you're saying? You could apply this sentence exactly to the Monday night game. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, right. That's what
I
I'm saying.
mean,
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, because I mean that was I mean, it was very entertaining. It wasn't to me. It was a lackluster game until the fourth quarter, in my opinion. I just think that both teams finally woke up. But yeah, but you know, better days ahead, hopefully for both both sides.
I'll just get this out of the way since we're doing sort of like honorable mentions, not, and teams not in the top 10, the Patriots being one, the Bears being one. Turns out the Vikings being one, although I could have seen the case maybe for a 10. You know, I was stemming the flow of my off-season champions optimism for the entirety of the off-season. Thank fucking Christ, right? Like I wasn't like running around celebrating all the Ben Johnson training camp videos that were coming out that made him look like an actual real head coach. I wasn't engaging in internet arguments about Caleb Williams because honestly, Ray, like I just didn't know. Like you can show me all this stuff on paper in the offseason, and as a Bears fan specifically, I've just been taught not to trust my instincts from the offseason into the regular season because it's just you just don't know with this team. And I think the thing that I have a few takeaways, to be honest, nothing definitive or groundbreaking. I thought they looked like they had a really. I thought competence was the story of the day with the Bears for the first two quarters, I'd say. I
Mm,
thought like an actual competent looking team emerged for the first half. And that I have to say is always going to get if you're going to kill the coach for incompetence, I think you got to praise him for competence, right?
mm. No.
There was some false start stuff, there was, some jiggery pokery in penalties. I will also say as a little bit of a qualifier, I'm not blaming the refs, but a phantom hold that took points off the board for the Bears, got him out of field goal range, a phantom PI that got the Vikings in scoring range. You got to call the game correctly. Like at least give us a chance to win. If we're giving up 30 yards for a PI that's a complete ghost PI, like we're
Mhm.
really like week one primetime, we're already doing that. And then like because it's the Bears, I get it. Nobody gives a shit. Like you only get like a week long conversation about something like that when it's a team that like people think is actually going to go somewhere and do something. So we haven't earned that privilege yet. I accept that. And I'm not in any way blaming the loss on the refs. I think we fell apart. There's a cautious optimism still, though, to be totally honest with you. I will come on to talk about Caleb Williams' accuracy issues and how alarming that was. But really, like, I really think some of the Ben Johnson stuff looked pretty good to me. Some of the Dennis Allen stuff in the first half, although we sort of fell apart, we were a little bit atrocious towards the end of the game. But it kind of sucked too. Again, I'm not blaming injuries, but it kind of sucked that it was like Gordon was out, Johnson was out, our starting linebacker was out. We took some hits coming into the game that it was like, all right, again, you don't want to make excuses. It's a divisional opponent. You need to go out there and win the fucking game. And we look like we were going to go do that. Then Wright, as like coming off the Vikings practice squad, looks like an absolutely electric out there. Looks like he can actually cover Justin Jefferson. They're playing man football on like a pretty good skill team. They seem to be containing JJ McCarthy. So if we can go forward playing more like the first half than the second half, and I don't see why not, I'm pretty optimistic. It was tough. If we're recording this podcast Monday night, I think the tenor would sound pretty different, to be honest, because it was tough to blow a lead in that fashion.
I
And
mean,
like I said, the Bears love to find new and interesting ways to lose football games.
I do hope that we're able to get to a point where we can do this, primarily. Well, obviously we have other stuff that we do, but primarily, and we can do the instant reaction for anything that we are a fan of. So whether that's, from Liverpool to whatever, like just anything, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Because the raw, like some of our best shows have come from those raw emotions. So our most viewed video came from,
Yeah, totally.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
So I, yeah,
100%.
so
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm
Uh,
being far too rational. I was suicidal on Monday night. I was
no,
fully
I mean
ready
we read the
to.
chat, bro. I was like, I said, damn. Oh, I said, thank God Leo's there.
Yeah, I honestly, it was a really great weekend for me because not only did Aaron Rodgers win and the Packers won, and those are two different events now. The Bears lost in like typical Bearsy fashion, just new and interesting, like a new way to fuck a game up.
Mhm.
I think I had a real sneaking suspicion when we let them get 3 points on the board right before halftime, like when most people were going to like make fucking chicken wings, they like snuck up the field and like just scored points, which was really, really frustrating to watch. And I was like, oh, guys, come on. But then third quarter, we looked like we were really dog walking them. We looked like we had put the game away. And then, yeah, in one quarter, everything just went to shit. But I
Mhm.
was like, I was annoyed, but I was like, yeah, fucking typical. Typical.
Right,
Fucking
right.
typical. That being said, I have to get on the record that like the biggest worry, the obvious elephant in the room are Caleb's reads. He did miss. Aikman was kind of all over him for missing like big
Mm.
jackpot plays that were really there to be had. There was also some, it wasn't, I don't think, as bad as May, because I don't think May was missing his reads. I think he was missing his throws. But Williams also had a little bit of that. He was, he had guys, he had dimes that he was not dropping. And I think he does force passes a little bit. And I think that a lot of the stuff you heard about
They
him
they
coming out of college, what?
they both do because their arms are so good. So they think,
I
oh, well,
know. I know they think they can do it. They have that thing, right? It's just tough because I do think that there was also a couple of really positive moments from Caleb where I think that he made some really nice plays in the first 3 quarters that I would like long may that continue and hopefully he doesn't get too in his head about
well,
blowing that game for us basically because like he could like the game was in his hands realistically, right? Like there was a couple coaching decisions. The other thing rules wise, I don't know about you, I'd love to hear your opinion on this because I was sort of in my own bubble when this happened, but when Hawkinson came up with the ball and the Bears punched it out and got all ball and no one touched him, even though his knee was on the ground, no one touched him and downed him. It just was the ball, so he had possession clearly, and the ball got punched out of his hand, and we recovered it and we took it to the house. So I'm just curious why that's not a fumble. Like, and there was no like explanation. There was no, because like there was, I would have loved like the rules analyst to be like, yep, that's instead of being like, that's the rule, be like, so is the football considered a part of his body? Because I thought you had to touch the player to down the player. And if you get all ball, that's like a sweet steal as far as I'm concerned. Like, I thought that was a fucking sick play. And you know how I feel about rules taking sick plays away.
but especially when ironically, you do the Tillman punch in
And yeah,
Chicago,
right,
in
right.
Chicago, and
The peanut punch
yeah,
features
you know
again
what
in
I'm saying?
Chicago. I'm never
Oh,
more optimistic than that, and I want
right.
that play to stand.
Um, I don't know. It's weird, man. Like, cause I think we have similar thoughts on this, but it's just like it's weird to me how they miss things that are that blatant. Like,
Yeah.
cause I think, and I feel like, and I get it. You can't review every little thing, so
But
that's
we
not.
challenged it, and they had like time to think about it. Like no one fucking touched him. And there was no like referee coming out. There was no like the rules analyst came on and was just like, "Yep, doesn't matter. That's the rule." And they were like, "Okay." And it's like, can we have a little bit of a philosophical discussion about this? Because like that sucks if that's the rule. That's a shitty rule. I know it doesn't come up all the time,
Even
but like that's a shitty rule, right? Like even if his knee's down, if it's you only touch the ball, like what the fuck? I don't know.
I think to a few years back, I think it's the last year that Brady was here, and we had a chance to beat Kansas City because they were here in New
Yeah,
England,
yeah, I
and
remember the game you're talking about.
Hill Harry scored. He scored. Like you see it on there. And rightfully so. No one had sympathy that New England.
Right now, and like I
But
qualified at
it,
the
it,
very
it was just
beginning,
like
right?
once again, but officiate the game
Yeah,
the way it's supposed, and it's just like that. That was the gripe. It's not about New England didn't get a, it's not about not New England New England not getting a call. Excuse me. It's about you seen it blow it up on not only just the mega screen, but you went under the hood and you didn't see that his foot wasn't off or his foot was still in bounds. Like that. That's to me. So that made me think about that.
I mean,
Um,
I have that image in my head. It's like two Chiefs players behind him, like on the ground, and his foot. You can actually see. I remember them going over that over and over and over again, and it was like everyone at home, myself included. I'm sure yourself included. It's like, oh, Tutty, like that. That's it. That we like it's that's done. That was like what 2019, and it's
mhm.
our 2020. What year was that?
No, it's 2019.
2019? Yeah, like, and it was an important time of year, right? It was like fucking December. So it
Mhm.
was like, I think that level of frustration is exactly what I'm talking about, where it's like, if you have a chance to look at it, I
Right.
feel so much less bad for you for blowing the call. But in this situation, I'm just told this is the rule. And I think it at the very least should be a revisit of that rule.
That's when you know that they completely missed it, right?
Yeah,
Completely. Like when they kind of go like, they go with the mom and dad, like, because I told
because
you.
I said so. Yeah,
I said so, like, mm-mm.
that's pretty much what we got
Yeah, you,
on
you, yeah,
on
you,
Monday.
you missed it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if rules and sports in general should really be that complicated. Like, and across
Yeah,
from
I
basketball,
agree.
there's a lot of stuff like, okay, like in baseball, you got the ground rule double, you got, obstructions come up a lot this year because the Red Sox have got called for a lot of obstruction calls. It's just like, where was this at before? Like, like this happens on a regular basis. And now you're calling it like that. That to me is crazy. But it's just like I don't know. It's weird. Certain I feel like certain referees or umpires, they emphasize certain things, they point out certain things, and so if you're doing that, then they're going to call it out. Or if you're someone I feel like that they rock with, because that's the thing, I don't care what they say. If you're a player that they rock with, um, you get the benefit of the doubt. Period. And
But
once
that's
again,
the thing, right? If that's the Chiefs, like we're having a full-blown week-long conversation about that rule. And, the rules keeping up with how guys are able to make plays in the NFL and, what this peanut punch is
it, it,
essentially a
it,
new skill set. You know what I mean? It's a modern era skill set that they obviously haven't rule changed enough to like keep up with.
but it happened. It happened with Mahomes even on Sunday, or well, not Sunday, on Friday when they faced
Hmm.
LA. He ran over a player going out of bounds. You know why? He runs over players like that because he knows he can't get touched.
Right.
So when you know that you can't get
Right.
touched like that, because my thing is the next play. Think about playing with someone like a Ronnie Harrison or your guy out there, Mike Brown. They would have let. Are you kidding me? The next time he would have ran out the pocket, it would have been good night, Irene. He would have been. It'd have been a hospital play. He'd have been going to the nearest hospital, and they were saying prayers up for 15. Like there's no way, bro. No way.
I will say, I agree with everything you're saying, and this is in no way me disagreeing with you when I say this, but I thought they were actually allowed to rough him up slightly more than usual in that game. I thought that part of what LA was doing really well was they were kind of letting him know early that they were going to bust his ass if he started to fuck around with any of that
And
kind of
you,
shit.
you you have to though, because if he feels comfortable, it's over.
Yeah.
Just like with Brady,
Yeah.
if those type of guys feel
If you
comfortable,
let him get him in his rhythm,
you're
yeah.
not, which is why, I'm being funny when I say this, but that's why your favorite quarterback looked good Sunday. He was comfortable. When he's comfortable, he's gonna pick you apart. You
Yeah.
cannot let those type of guys get comfortable. This can't happen.
Yeah.
Can't happen.
And like part of him getting comfortable, I think, I mean, I will say this, like, there's a lot of like Chiefs hate obviously going around in the world right now because they were winners. And you know, from being a Pats fan, like what that is. There are things probably truly insufferable about them. And, I'm not going to lie about that. But there's also the fact that like they're really good. That's why people are paying attention to them enough to hate them, right? And that's why people have opinions about them because they won a lot of Super Bowls and they almost three-peated and they probably have the best QB. So that's a little bit part of it that I have to say for a little bit of sympathy for them with Worthy going out like almost immediately. It was supposed to look different with giving him his weapons back, right? It was supposed to look like because if we're being quite honest, like we never counted the Chiefs out because you don't do that because they're the like Patriots of 2025. But that being said, like they didn't look they didn't look like world beaters all season last season, right? Like we can agree on that. So there's something to be said, I think, for acknowledging that their level has dropped off without gleefully celebrating it because I remember the era of celebrating the Patriots levels dropping off every time it happened pretty much until now.
Right.
They
Right.
got better again. So there was just like no time to take a victory lap around the park. I think the same is probably true of the Chiefs. Like I can see them figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like I just don't overreact to that week one.
Well, the
Um,
only thing, it's not even, I don't even know what word to say, but like, we never saw the Patriots get manhandled in the Super Bowl the way that happened last year.
Yeah, Tom never took an L like that, so I think the conversation is moot.
But but he took the biggest L of all time. So that's
You
that.
why? Well, because of the context of him being so successful and like trying to and having a perfect regular season,
Yeah.
it
No,
became
yeah.
the biggest L of all time because he made it. Like he
Yeah.
set the
Right.
expectation so high. Like I always talk about this. I've said this so many times in the show. You can't beat people with the cudgel of their own success.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't. You're operating up here. That's why it's the biggest L of all time. To be honest with you,
Crazy. Crazy.
at the end of the day, he never got slapped in a Super Bowl. It never happened. So he lost. He lost games, but he never got slapped to the point where the other team's taking their starters off. That's just never happened to him. So just putting that out there. For those of you having the debate, it's a decent transition actually because the Chiefs are number 8 on the power rankings list, which I think is almost certainly the lowest position they've been in
Mhm.
the entire run of the power ranking show. Bobby isn't here tonight. We miss him, but he would be able to tell you definitively if that's true. There was a time where he never wanted to take him off the one spot, even if they lost a game, because it just wasn't smart to do. So, in the context of that, I'll just tell you 10, 9, and 8. We can fiddle with it a little different tonight. I was almost like Buster Rhymes right there. We just riddled 2 minutes later, didn't do diddly. All right. So, I think we can talk about these three teams as like a tier, which is really strange. They're
Mhm.
all kind of weird teams that we don't know about going into the rest of the regular season. They can all go either way. The Lions looked like they really were missing their two coordinators that had varying levels of success as their own with head coaching their own teams out in the rest of the world. The Bengals, I don't, I think it's like they kind of looked like a shitty week one Bengals, but still won this game instead of like when they played you guys week one, you remember? But they look like the shitty week one Bengals. You beat them, and it was like the start of that narrative of they can't start. Oh God, they're like it's happening again. I still don't think they started well, even though they won the game. So it's
Right.
a weird kind of,
They got to win
they
this.
were beatable.
Yeah.
They were beatable this weekend, in my opinion. Because
So,
I also think that they were playing the worst fucking team in the NFL. So, or like there or thereabouts, right? Am I crazy to say that? So,
no,
like,
no,
you guys
it's up
can't
there.
look at
It's up
that. You
to
can't look
yeah.
as like the Browns are that ass that like the week one Bengals, the team that loves to lose. Like, obviously, that's different when it's Burrow in week 12, but week one Bengals and you still couldn't beat them. Like, you guys are ass. You're heading for a very early cross off, Cleveland Browns, a very early cross off indeed. That being said, like all three of these teams are weird, and I don't really want to die on any particular hill with any one of the three teams because I think the Chiefs could rattle off 10 wins. I genuinely do. Like, I know that there's still offensive line issues. I know there's still weapon issues. There's injuries with their weapons. They still have Pat Mahomes. I know that his advanced analytics are like sort of going down year on year or whatever it is. And I know
Mhm.
Travis Kelsey was like basically admitted he was out of shape last season, but I don't know, man. I'm still not counting him out. Is that crazy? And then, like, I guess
Oh,
who would you say is most of those three teams most likely to succeed and most likely to fucking end up in jail? Because I need the superlatives. Put it in yearbook form for me.
well, no, it's definitely it's in order. Like the order is right in my opinion.
Okay.
I actually think this whole list is spot on for this week, right? It
Okay.
makes sense for next week, but
I would have to agree, to be honest with you. I was trying to pick it apart. Shout out to Bobby for making the power rankings as he always does for us.
yeah.
I was trying to pick it apart. There's a couple honorable mentions, right? Like there's a couple of teams that maybe could have cracked the top. I think the one that was probably who would you say before you answer my other question? Who would you say was the most surprising, if you could say a team that didn't make the top 10?
I don't know if I had one honestly
Hmm.
because I said like I said I agree with everyone on the list. So who did he have 11 and 12? 'Cause I missed that when he sent it earlier, but did he have someone 11 and 12?
No, he just went
No,
1 to 10. And like
gotcha. No, but yeah,
honestly,
'cause I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know.
what about the Commanders?
Well, okay. So if that's the case, then yes, because of how they're hyped. But I think it's because of who they beat, right?
Hmm.
Now, granted, they beat them by double digits, so they did what they were supposed to do. But it's just like it was the Giants, right?
Yeah.
I guess maybe you could put them.
Depends what you, it kind of depends on the Lions, right? Like the Lions being a 10 makes sense. It depends on how, like, to me, like that was a top four power ranking team last year. Like they won a lot of games. Bobby obviously thinks so. I thought so going into the season. I
Yeah.
think that falls fair enough losing those coordinators. Those are good coordinators, right?
Well, they're one of three teams on the list that lost week one. That's on here, right? So we won't reveal everything yet. Obviously, stay tuned. But it's just like that. I
But
think
just because of their previous rankings, like the Lions still have to make the. They
Yes,
still have to. They
but
still have to make and the Chiefs also still have to make the top 10.
right,
Like we
but
can't take them off yet.
I wouldn't have been shocked if Washington was 10.
Yeah.
Like that's the only spot right now that could have been moved.
Or maybe the Vikings, like after coming back and like looking like a really
Right,
well coached
right, yeah.
team.
But I mean, but to be fair, I mean, yeah, even though like I said the fourth quarter was the fourth quarter, but I'm like the first 42 minutes matter. Like they were getting smoked. Like that's not an opinion, that's a fact.
Yeah,
They were getting, and it's all of a sudden, um,
the Bears fucking fell apart.
yeah,
So
and JJ McCarthy woke up out of whatever little slump he was in. Which I mean, hey, listen, I will sit here and unfortunately, give you your flowers for that because you sat here and told me, hey, hey man, you was like Minnesota might be better than you guys think. You guys are shitting on Minnesota, and I'm like, all right, Dave, like maybe this is the hill that you die on this shit. I don't know, but hey,
I
they
just think they always win a lot of games in the regular season. I'm not saying they're a playoff team. I just think they always win a lot of games in the regular season because they're well coached. Like they're just a well coached team. So like it's hard for me to like when it went. I know it's a messy situation. I've lived in it. You have two more recently than less recently, but I just know a well-coached team when I see one, and it's like any well-coached team has the potential to crack the top 10 of the power rankings, if you ask me. Like, I just think that's the way it is in the NFL these days. And I know it's like a little bit of a truism, but it's hard for me to count out the teams whose coaches I really believe in. Like, yeah, I even was positive about the Packers on the prediction show because I think Matt LaFleur is a good coach. I never want to count out the Rams because I think Sean McVay is a good coach. Like, these teams, like, I just don't want to ever go the other way. Like the Andy Reid coach teams, you know what I mean? Like, I'm quicker to count out the Eagles because their coach is is an absolute fucking
yeah,
bonehead. So like
they win in spite of Nick Sirianni for sure. We talked about that before, but
they saved his ass last
yeah,
year. They
I
fully
definitely
pulled his ass out of the fire.
I wholeheartedly agree. Now that I think about it, I do think, and this makes me sick to say it out loud, but whatever. We're here to be fair. I do think the Jets would have made it had they won because
That's interesting. They looked really good.
yeah, they did. And I was like, whoa. I was blown away at how
I
good.
thought Justin Fields looked awesome.
Yes, I mean, but it's about time, bro. It's about time. And I mean, sorry, to be fair, he did in the first 6 weeks, he held it down last year for Pittsburgh. They go 4-2.
Kinda. Not like that though. Like
No, not like
that
that.
was
No.
maybe the best game I've ever seen him play in the NFL. Like probably
Yeah,
by far,
yeah.
to be
Yeah.
honest.
But it's also different when you fully have someone that believes in you, right?
Hmm.
And his confidence had to be through the roof. He's like, wait, you guys gave up on Aaron Rodgers for me? Like, and not to get all sentimental, all mushy, but it'd been like, oh my God, like guys chose me to go to prom. Like, you want me to be your prom date? Yes. We want you to be the prom, we want you to be our prom date. So yeah, that should naturally boost your confidence. I mean, just like tonight, I get to be on the Power Rankings. Like, I'm not the guy that gets to be on the show. I'm usually
No,
so
the power rankings
I get to
get to
be on the
have you
show.
on the show, Ray. The
Yeah.
power rankings are privileged for you to be here giving your expert opinion on this stuff.
I mean,
I gotta ask you a question though, honestly, and
yes.
just in the context of what you said about the Dolphins, because I think you took a well-deserved victory lap on the Dolphins and
Mhm.
what you were seeing, and you said, I quote, 6 games wouldn't be surprising. You guys called the Dolphins to win 6 games on the prediction show. You also
Yep.
called the Jets to win 7.
Yes.
Are you regretting that now after their week 1 performance, or do you think it's one of those week 1 we don't know, like it's not going to happen like that again things?
I think they came out swinging, right? Because I think they was at home, right? So they came out swinging. I think a lot of those guys were juiced up to play against Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Glenn had them a little bit more ready than I thought,
Yeah,
to be honest.
yeah.
So maybe that goes up to 8, maybe 9, because that's what Bobby initially had them at 9-8. So I can say that now. He had
Hmm.
them at 9 initially, and I was just like, I don't know, first year coach, like I'm not sure, but excuse me, that felt like D'Amico Ryan's in Houston, right? So maybe that's what it turns into. I hope not, because that means that we might finish third in the division if that's the case, if we don't get it together. So, but yeah, I can maybe see them eking out another win now with, and like I say, if they play like that, obviously you have to win the games, but if they play like that, they're going to be in most games. Obviously, like, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Brees Hall.
They managed to do the impossible. They put the Pittsburgh Steelers in an exciting game of football. Maybe one of the best games of the
Yeah,
weekend.
I mean, listen, when I could obviously, the game, they do all the game check-ins throughout the day, and when I was just seeing, I saw that Aaron Rodgers at 94 years old do a bootleg, and I was
He is. He's 110.
I was like, yeah, I was like at 117 years old, like, like do a bootleg, and I said, what is going on? Like, how do
It
you?
was like a well-designed play, though.
No, it was, but I was like, wow, like, because Arthur Smith is still there, right? He's still the guy.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just like, wow. I'm like that. That to me, I mean, they still need more of a running game, which that they're synonymous with.
Yeah, honestly, very good point. If we do want to do a quick minute on the Steelers, I'm still like withholding judgment. The thing that I really saw was I thought that their defense looked like kind of reinvigorated. As much as they let up a shitload of points, there was just things about their defense. I know this sounds ridiculous.
Yeah,
I know they let up a shitload of points, but like everybody was playing good, right? Like everybody on the defense was sort of playing good. Like Watt looked like back to himself. It's all the more reason, to be honest, to be impressed with Justin Fields' performance. Like it really is, because I thought I've watched the Steelers obviously every week because my wife's a diehard Steelers fan. Obviously, the context of this show is that like I fucking hate the Packers and I hate Aaron Rodgers more, and he's their quarterback. He looked pretty good. I'm withholding like a real opinion until we see a bigger sample size, because like I don't know, like he's like you said 126 years old, and if you at 131 years old you make it to week 9 getting hit as much as he got hit in the first game, like I think first game you can take a couple. That he looked less mobile in the pocket than he did in New York, to be honest with you. I think it, like you said, they let him hit his targets, man. They let him like take his time, and they let him hit his guys, and they let him go through his reads, and they gave him
yeah,
nice check
right,
downs, and like they made it work. You can figure that out, you know. So I'm not really still
right.
that worried about Aaron Rodgers having a super
Sure, but
successful
you
season,
can't.
you know.
But that's what I'm saying. But you can't let that guy say we can whatever we feel about him out off the field, whatever.
Sure.
Cool. On the field, you cannot let him get that comfortable because
Yeah.
if you do, that's going to happen more times than not. Once again, he can still have a bad game. He can still overthrow a ball, throw a couple of picks. We've seen that before, but when he's a hard guy to stop when he's rolling. And we can say that about most quarterbacks, but obviously he's elite. When he's on, he's elite. And I didn't know if he still had that type of performance in him that we saw Sunday because of what happened the last couple of years, obviously. But yeah, it's amazing what happens when, and once again, my critique of Tomlin has been the postseason. Him as a leader is unquestionable. We
Yeah, I think the thing that we saw play out, like
stuff.
questions about his ability, at Rodgers' ability aside, Tom, the thing we thought was going to play out played out, right? You can't do the Aaron Rodgers shit that he did in New York. Like he came out afterwards. I mean, this guy just manages to fucking piss me off week in, week out. We are just the opposite person. Like if you just he happened to also play quarterback for the fucking like for the fucking Green Bay Packers for that long. Um, him and I are just on opposite ends of the political intelligence spectrum, that I really just can't stand the guy. He fumbled the bag with Olivia Munn, and he came out after the game as the Steelers quarterback. Like
And then Patrick.
oh yeah, give me a break. Comes out after the game and goes, I was just happy to beat everybody associated with the Jets organization. I'm like, I'm sorry, Aaron, the organization that bent over backwards for you all goddamn season last season in order to help you succeed. They got you every guy you asked for. They fired every coach you wanted fired, and then you still fucked off. I mean, obviously they were done with you by the end. That's one thing. That's fine. To be honest with you, because you looked ass all fucking season. So you just got to own up to that, I think. And you're like, I'm so happy to beat everybody associated with the Jets organization. Like, what did the fucking cafeteria workers do to you, bro? Jesus Christ. They gave you every single thing you asked for last year. They fired coaches on your behalf, coaches that look like they could put together pretty decent, if not bordering on elite defenses for your fucking 50,000-year-old ass. And you come out and you go, oh, fucking Jets. But it's like, dude, do you really, are you that much the center of your own universe? I can't imagine being like that.
Crazy.
Um, I will say this. I think Jalen Ramsey has been done so dirty by the NFL, having to languish his first few years in Jacksonville, getting a little bit of a resurgence going to the LA Rams, who are like not the worst team in the world. Then he has to go and be the kind of guy that he is in Miami, right? And now he's in Pittsburgh. It looked like he should have been in Pittsburgh the entire fucking time. The shit he was talking, the shit he was saying to people, it was like prime. I got to send you this video. It's like an edit of Jalen Ramsey talking shit to various different Jets players, and it's basically prime KG highlight. Like it's like
Yeah.
he's just talking, like it's just y'all too little. Y'all too
No,
little. Y'all too little. Like
he's been that his whole career though.
yeah, but like the thing is, what he's never had, and thank you so much for like illuminating to how I'm gonna land the plane on this point.
Mhm.
What he's never had is the platform and the encouragement to do it inside a system that is as elite as he is. And whatever you want to say about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, I'm still a fan of their defense. It's a lot of fun to watch. They have a lot
Yeah,
of absolute
yeah.
gamers out there, and now they have one more. That guy really shined. He really shined in that defense, and I think long may that continue. I love that kind of player. It's just
Oh,
it
for
was
sure.
everything.
I hate they had to give up Fitzpatrick to get him.
I'm kind of fine with it. I don't think Minka fit the defense anymore. They were asking him to plug a ton of holes, which wasn't fair. That's an island guy that you need to like let.
Had to
Sorry,
add-
go on.
No, no, that's because like I said, you watch him a little more intimately than I do. But I'm playing like to add Ramsey
He's sick.
to what's going on, and now you say, hey, you don't have to do as much, just kind of
Yeah.
be free. What are you kidding me? Watch out, watch out. But like I said, no, I mean, unless I don't think he's in Miami for long. Wherever he's at, he's not gonna be there for long. Because once again, I think some of those guys down there
Who,
are
Ramsey?
no Fitzpatrick.
Oh, Fitzpatrick. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
I see. I see.
That's what
You
I'm saying.
think that the trade is
I
that
just wish
he's dropping by.
I
Yeah.
wish that if I'm him, I would say, look, I need to get released, and I would just come back and just play. I would come back up there and just go crazy. But I love the sign Peppers. I love that. I think that
I mean, between Peppers, Slay, and Ramsey, I mean, I know that this is like not the youngest, like they signed so many fucking veterans in the offseason. And I just think that the way that they've kind of put their team together, that's exactly what they needed to go and do. I like a lot of the choices
I love it, and I
you
think
actually said that once. I think you said that on a preview show when it happened. I think you were like, I actually kind of like that move. Like your initial reaction, I remember specifically, I was like, okay, Ray approves of that. I know it sucks you gave up Fitzpatrick, who's sick. Obviously love
yeah.
to be,
Yeah, I mean,
spoiled and have them all, but
I've always liked Ramsey as a corner. Once again, I like that he was real brass on that Jaguar team that came up here to New England, who actually had beat the Steelers the week before, right?
hmm
So I'm sure he was reminding some people in that locker room what happened because he's that type of guy. He don't care.
no, he doesn't give a fuck.
Y'all remember we put 45 on y'all?
But also, I think
Like,
he harnesses it really well. Like he's not
Blake
an idiot.
Bortles.
Like yeah, yeah. He doesn't, but he doesn't play like an idiot though. You know what I mean? Like I
No.
think if you look at, say, for instance, I'm much better behaved. I might add Tyreek Stevenson on the Bears, right? A guy who has all the ability. He's extremely brash, and that adds to his ability to play football, right? Like he kind of needs to have that personality in order to play good. You still need to refine the edges a little bit. You have to refine the edges a little bit with a guy like that. And I think a Ramsey at 30 is really, really nice. Like that's a really nice vintage of that kind of cornerback, and that's an
Right,
identity
right.
building vintage of that kind of quarterback because I think he can also be like, don't fuck the game up.
Yeah,
Like he's at that
right,
point in his
right.
career. He's like, no, but don't do anything stupid though, because we're playing on margins here. But he can still be playing well. I mean, again, I know they let up a bunch of points that defense, but I liked a lot of what I saw on the defensive side of the ball. I think I decided I said this to Leah too. Mike's not going to let me get away with this, but I think I decided I'm a fan of their defense and I hate their offense. So I'm going to try to get away with that this year. Because I
Well, it's
really
already
do
on
like
tape,
their
so we good.
let's see if Mike lets me because he's gonna probably try to make me say one way or the other like how I feel on it. But I was actively cheering against Aaron Rodgers and cheering for their defense to be good. So
Feel that.
the opposite happened of what usually happened with the Steelers is they usually do what I wanted, which was prevent all the points, but also put up very few points, and neither of those things went down that way.
Right, right, right.
Was not a vintage Steelers game. All right, let's talk about the next tier. I wonder, is it? Yeah, it is actually three teams: Rams, Bucks, Chargers. I think this is a really, really parity-filled tier. Again, I think this next three. The next conversation, the next chunk, that's going to be a little bit of a different conversation. But Rams, Bucks, Chargers, those are all teams where I would say it in this cadence and it with this inflection, I'd be like, pretty good, pretty
Yeah.
good. The Bucks, pretty good. Baker might be good. Think he might be good. Think we've had this conversation.
It's okay. It's okay.
Might be good.
They found another receiver.
Yeah,
Wow. I'm talking about Tampa. Wow.
yeah.
Like it's unbelievable how
I mean, Drake London might be my favorite receiver in the NFL, and like the archetype of guys that they get down there is so awesome. Not Drake London, the guy who's just like Drake London that plays on Tampa Bay.
Mike
Uh,
Evans.
Mike Evans, the Drake London of Tampa Bay. They're like these are that archetype of receiver is like really like always interesting for me because it's like, oh man, like they really
I'm,
play physical.
I'm really glad, especially with him. Like I'm glad that Brady went down there and chose to play with him, right? Because
hmm
you had to have some type of talent to go down there, and he wanted to work with him because in that mold you had it was him. Hopkins, and Devontae Adams. To me, I even and to me, even without the ring, I'm taking number 13. Because I think about who he's played with outside of Brady, and there's been no quarterback to write home about really until now. Baker's by far the second best quarterback he played with because he was better than Jameis while Jameis was there.
I know, but Ibuka really did look good, to your point. I mean,
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the fact that, and once again, you got Evans who's on the back nine, you got Godwin who's right at 28, 29.
but adding that guy means they have like that elevates that receiving core back to the
So it
place that
does.
it was,
It does.
like it just does.
It sure does. And I think they still got Cade Otton as the tight end, if I'm not mistaken, over there. So like, and then they got Bucky Urban as the running back, who's he's not Alvin Kamara, but he's someone that can catch ball at the backfield, and he's more than serviceable. So they it's just solid. And once again, and I think you made the point. Well, yeah, I think it was you that the last 2 or 3 years, Baker Mayfield has better numbers than Patrick Mahomes. And once
And
again,
Jordan Love.
but it was Mahomes too. But yes, but you had Jordan Love, right? So, and what's one of my sayings on here? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Shout out to Wayne and Gotti. Like numbers don't lie. And I'm just like, dude, like I get that obviously, he still has to be a better postseason performer, but there's no way. Like I'm sure Cleveland fans look at him as sick because it's just like this is what they envisioned, right? This is what you envision when you get a guy number one. But this is why we say this is you cannot give up on a guy after 2 or 3 years.
I mean, look at Fields. Look at Fields last weekend.
Right. I was saying, yeah, to put them in a position to be successful and to see what they can be. When
Yeah.
you're getting drafted in the top five, most likely you're getting drafted to a team that's garbage. So
That's a real problem with Caleb Williams right now. Is like he's in such a you could just see the situation he was in is so good.
But even then, but
Like,
but I feel like when you draft a Roman Dunze, when you draft a Luther Burden, when you had a kid, I know Kid now moved back to LA, but you still have a DJ Moore, you know, you still have who's a running back now? Swift, right?
it's DeAndre Swift, who actually looks pretty good on Monday
So
night, to be
when
honest with you.
you still have that talent pool on the offensive side of the ball, the numbers should still look decent. And once again, he's not someone. I mean, it was a short route, but that it was a rope. The rope that he threw to Adunze to score, I think in the last few minutes, I was like, one, I don't know how that would have knocked the wind out of me. So I don't know how Roman Adunze caught that and just ate it. He was just like, oh, and I was just like,
He does have a fucking cannon though. It's crazy. I wish
no,
his
it's crazy, but
accuracy could like
but
meet this
I felt
same speed.
like this the thumping on
Oh yeah.
the pad. I said that's crazy, but that's what I'm saying. He throws it that hard. It's like, dude, give a little finesse. You might go 30 or 42 for 400 yards. Cause remember, I was saying it last year. Remember, I was saying we did a show early on. I was like, I thought that he was gonna have a Cam Newton type start because I was just like, I felt that he was that in that mode, and I still haven't backed off of that. But he has to show it. He has to show it.
I know we're back to talking about the fucking Bears again, but I just want to say one more thing about Caleb specifically.
Yeah.
I Look, Johnson was like completions, 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 and I really did appreciate that. He started off the game 10 for 10. He looked really good, like system QB wise. He looked like he
Like
was
Jared
pulling
Goff.
off the game plan. Yeah, he looked like he was pulling off the game plan. Also, when plays broke down, he actually looked like he could do more than like a Jared Goff in those moments where he like broke off and was improvisational. The thing that I think my overriding theory about this might be premature to say this, but I actually do want to get it on record. I think he's really worried about throwing picks. I think throwing picks are like fuck with his head or something. And I think that there's the way he
Yep.
fires the ball, and it's like he can maybe put it in a position where the only guy that can catch it is a receiver because if a cornerback touches it, his hands are gonna fucking fall off, kind of a thing. Like there was a couple throws where I was just like, dude, you had him. You had him. I know you're worried about the underneath guy and you didn't look because your eyes are sluggish as fuck. You just got to improve that. But like at the end of the day, relax your eyes first of all. Like don't add more like muscle to your eyes either.
Right.
Relax your eyes, calm down, have a little bit more pocket presence and float a few of those rifles that you fired and like the game looks entirely different.
But I think, but that's what, but to back to our middle tier that we're talking about right now. But that's why these quarterback, like obviously Matt Stafford, he's
Yeah.
someone that's mastered all
Yeah,
that.
that's what puts them in that. Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, but these guys are all top five picks, right? So Matthew Stafford obviously was the number one pick. Baker Mayfield was the number one pick.
Right.
Herbert was the fifth overall pick, right? Or fourth, fifth. He was fifth.
I'll double check on that, but he wasn't one.
Fifth or sixth. Okay. Either way, he went behind Tua, which is
Uh,
wild.
Not
Wild.
what I think we talked about that at the time. I was
Yeah,
like, that's
wild.
fucking
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, no, yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, so but Taylor's out that day to be right on that. 'Cause I was right, but we were right. But yeah, I mean, those three teams are, like I said, pretty
Sixth.
good. He was sixth. Okay, so everybody, because Tua went fifth. That's what it was. Got it. So yeah, I just think, to me, they all seem to be improved from last year already. And but like I said, I like Amarian Hampton too from LA. I think he's going to be a really good player. The Chargers thing, and I say this every year, regardless who's coaching, regardless who's playing,
It's still a church. I love this.
they have to be healthy. I say it every
Oh,
year.
I thought you were gonna be like they're just fucking losers. I thought you were
Well,
gonna be like
well,
they don't
I
fucking
mean,
belong.
to
Like
be, to be
they're a
fair,
trash franchise. Like I thought
well,
that's the
no,
route you're going.
I don't think they're a trash franchise, but I do think that.
If there's any fan base to make a case for the Chargers being fucking losers, it's Patriots. It's the Patriots
No,
fans because
sure,
like
sure, but I
I
mean,
don't necessarily agree with how you approach the Steelers and like what just because I think you take it in the context of like what you witnessed. But like if you take in the context of what you witnessed the Chargers, you are their
so,
fucking daddy. Like
so,
that was those were some
so
absolutely
can I
heartbreaking playoff losses.
can I give I'll give context more to why
Okay, good. All right,
for
fine.
them.
I just thought you were going down that road. It was gonna be
No,
fun.
no, 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 no. So, um, I respect Pittsburgh more.
Yeah, you'd have to.
So you know what I'm saying. So because I respect Pittsburgh more, once again, my favorite player outside of a Patriot player was Cordell Stewart growing up. That was my guy. Love
Yeah.
Cordell Stewart. Love
Yeah,
Slash.
he's great.
So it's awesome. So no, it's more of a like I expect more, and you haven't given more when our teams are going back and forth. So now I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna throw shots, and I do the same thing with the Colts, and I throw shots. Any team that was a rival of mine growing up, like I throw shots when I can.
Mhm.
I never saw the Chargers as a rival. I just didn't. Once again, Sean Marion, appreciate you, brother, friend of the show, right? You was great. I said this to you there, but you were a great player. Obviously, you had LT, you guys like Lorenzo Neal, David Boston. Well, I might be dating myself on that, but David Boston, I can't think of older Keenan McCardell at the time. Like they had some guys come through there that were really Antonio Gates, obviously, was really good.
Can we do a quick aside?
Yeah.
Like just like in the context of the of I don't mean to go off on a tangent,
No,
but
it's
like
fine. It's okay.
you got me thinking about
Mhm.
this about that draft. You got me thinking about that draft that year. And I was like,
Yeah.
what that was like the weirdest fucking draft ever, right? Joe Burrow goes number one, like he would
Oh
still
yeah.
go number one, like all good. Chase Young goes two. Now,
Right.
I just like to say obviously you can do revisionist history about every draft here, but like CeeDee Lamb proceeds to go 17th and Justin Jefferson proceeds to go 22nd, right? So it's like, Chase Young goes two. Are we calling Chase Young a bust yet? Like, what's it like? He's not a second overall pick. Can I make that point?
Sure. I think he still probably goes top 10 just because people
Sure,
rushes.
sure. I can't find 10 other players on this list that beat
Right.
him.
But
Patrick Queen is pretty low down. Jordan Love goes 26th. I think he'd probably be two now, if not Justin Jefferson.
Jordan Love would be too.
Jordan Love would probably be two.
And once again,
Just because he's a QB. Just because he's a QB and you know what you know about him now.
right, but sure, but he'd go top 10, but he wouldn't go before Herbert or once again, I concede that. Once again, like I was
Okay.
supportive, but no, he wouldn't have gone
Okay.
before Herbert. And
You
once
don't
again,
think so?
because Tua
Okay.
went to Alabama, they still would have went in like the 15 to 20 range, but
Fourth, fifth.
for the fourth or fifth guy taken, right? To
Do you
me,
take Justin Jefferson before him?
yeah, well, what he's become, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to. You
I
have to.
honestly, and this is kind of wild, but because they would never do this, but I would have took Jeff. I would take Jefferson too.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, I
Yeah.
absolutely would say Justin Jefferson
Yeah,
number
he's
two.
so good.
He's the best receiver in the game. Like I absolutely would have took him at two.
I was so
Yeah,
upset when he
number
was
three.
like
Yeah, you know what
doing
I'm
the
saying? So
gritty
it's crazy.
on Monday though. I was like, your dance is stupid. I wouldn't take him two just for your stupid fucking end zone dance. But that's just me being bitter. All right, sorry. I'm putting us back on the rails here. I agree. I think we've talked. I want to let you finish your point about the Chargers before we move on, and then I
Oh
want to
yeah,
see
no,
if you have anything to say
yeah.
about the Rams. I know
Well,
that was a
no, I
while ago.
mean,
My bad.
for those that listen to this, they'll. I feel like when y'all listen to us, regardless of who's on here, you're going to get a historical lesson. We always can go back to the archives and give y'all players that came through the organizations. Some of you may know it more intricately than us because you may watch the actual fan base more. But I'm giving you surface knowledge, and my surface knowledge is as good as some people's
I
deep.
wouldn't call it surface knowledge. Like I think the thing that what we're trying to achieve here, just if you really do want to pull back the curtain, I
Mhm.
like thinking about things in different contexts, right? And
Yes.
I think that like when because we've been watching the NFL for both of us at this point, what is it? 25 plus years easy, like
Mhm.
for both of us, right?
Mhm.
I think there you try to avoid old heading like as hard as you can, but like
Yes.
sometimes you have to be like, I've seen this player before. Like I've seen this guy
No, right,
before.
right.
I know what this kind of guy is. I know like what I've seen this kind of team before. And you're
Mhm.
kind of right, like a lot of the time for that reason, right? So then we sort of translate that into takes. I'm not trying to say that these people should have known in 2020 and during this draft what they know now. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like it's important to put this stuff in context, right? Like it's
They lucked out by Herbert falling. I'm sure they was like thinking they're lucky stars that he fell to six because, and once again, Bobby was telling us, and I didn't trust the quarterback from Oregon. I didn't. I was just like, I don't. I'm sorry. I tried and I got burned by
This
Mary.
is a thing. I mean, this is a thing. People say the same thing about USC. People say the same thing about Ohio State. Like
But
the
all those
last.
times too, so even people are gonna get mad because he's been a topic of conversation lately. But Texas has not had a great quarterback come out of there. Once again, we could say Vince Young, but Vince Young had about 2 good years and he fizzled out.
I think their best prospect I've ever seen was Vince Young, though. Like
So,
I think
so,
Vince Young's. I mean,
uh,
again, not to do a history lesson
Major
thing.
Applewhite back in the day was a problem. I think he played with Ricky Williams. Like, he was
The
he
the
was that
the
guy.
fucking
But
expectations on Vince Young when he came out. There was LeBron level expectations on Vince Young when he
well, I mean,
arrived in the
when
NFL.
you play in
People
the
forget because he didn't do shit.
well, no,
But
I mean, you also had a coach that didn't believe in it. But when you play what I think is the greatest college football game of all time, that Rose Bowl against USC that is the greatest college football game I've ever seen, hands down. Like it
yeah,
had everything you could think of, all the star power. Just
I
all,
was just at the Rose Bowl last Sunday.
yeah, for a
But
concert.
Oasis were playing. It
Oh, oh,
wasn't. It
oh,
wasn't
oh,
even a
that's
football.
right. Yeah, you did text us about that, right? But I was like, wow. So like that's awesome. But no, but to the point about San Diego, LA.
But can I just say one more thing about Vince Young? I think the thing that happened with Vince Young was it was like he played 7 games his sophomore year, whatever it was, his first year at Texas. He
Mhm.
played 7 games, went 6-1, played 12 games, went 11-1, and then that last year, if you remember that 2005 year, he went 13-0. He just looked like an absolute fucking stud on that team. That team was like absolutely dominant. It was obviously in a weird era for college football. I think we would like know more about Vince Young if it was now because of how the sort of latter
Right.
stages, how all the getting paid stuff works, like all the portal stuff, all the information that's available that wasn't available in 2005. I mean, I can't believe this was this long ago, but like this was 20 years ago now we're talking, right? So you have to think to yourself, that's the same difference as 1980 to the year 2000. So like a lot of stuff has come a long way. I don't want with all that on. Like, are you worried about Arch Manning? I thought you were like he's going to be the
No, no,
guy.
no, I'm not. I mean, I didn't fall off the deep end. I mean, granted, he played Ohio
You were
State.
just getting it in. You were just for the record, you haven't had an NFL QB really
No,
of any
yeah,
real
but yeah,
quality
like
come out.
I think
You do think they were about to though.
well, no, I think the Archman could be that guy, but he's not. Like I said, he hasn't become that now. But I do think he has that talent to be that, right? To
I
be the
think probably it'd probably be dumb to bet against them at this point. Like if in my opinion.
no, for
But
sure. And it's just like but we'll see. But I like I said,
welcome to the college football
it makes sense
I'm
for us to
missing the point.
no, it makes right exactly. It makes sense for us to bring it all up though because we said at the beginning, and you told us you prefaced this conversation and said we're going to make this quarterback based. So that's what we
Yeah.
did. We just happened to go east, left, west, southwest,
Yeah.
northwest, and that's fine.
I forgot actually that I said that. So
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
you
So
kept pulling it
I
back
got
around.
you. I'm here. So
I really
it's
just had
all
that
good.
one question that was quarterback based, to be honest. And then I was like, maybe I can wrap this into a theme. And then I failed. So thanks
Oh, that's
for
cool.
uh, thanks for bringing it back.
We brought it back, but no, but like I said, I'll say this like I said about LA, and then we can get to the
We hate the Chargers so much we can't even talk
no,
about them.
not no, no, no. 'Cause I don't hate that franchise. I just never, I never saw them as a threat that I saw Pittsburgh or Baltimore, right, or
Yeah.
Indianapolis. So
Yeah.
because of
And
that,
also, Herbert would definitely get drafted over Tua right now. So they're still in a better position.
sure, for
They won a
sure.
great game. They they
Sure.
they very much deserve number 5 on the power rankings this week. I think a win like that should get you there, to be totally honest with you. And I think that like the name Harbaugh like can win you. I mean, like let me check here. What did we have him at winning? Did he do?
What do you think Herbert would do with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle?
I know. I know.
Like, are you like that? I mean, we look at Josh Allen as we should because he's amazing.
We had him at 11 and 6. I mean, same with the Bucks. I think you can actually say Rams, Bucks, Chargers. We had the Rams at 11 and 6. We
Mhm.
had the Bucks at 10 and 7, and we had the Chargers at 11 and 6. And I think like if I was feeling any type of way about those three picks, I think maybe not enough wins. Of all three teams, one of those is going to be not enough wins, right? We called it low on at least one of those three teams. So
Right.
like good showing honestly from all of them. And also quarterback style or context. I thought Baker was able to not play well and then still lead his team to a victory. Does that make sense? And I think that like I think he couldn't really get into rhythm. He didn't look like at the heights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The bullshit like
That's
he's got
the
to step
thing.
up. I still think he was able to put pressure on the defense and like and control the game. So I just think that goes a long way with me too.
Yeah, but I said, but I feel like that's what he's become. Like, we look at, he got a bad rap
It was
early.
an ugly game.
Yeah, no, right. But he got a bad rap early on because of how just boisterous he was. Playing the flag. So people were in their feelings about that. And but yeah, he's deliberate. He's deliberate. And
Yeah. I think
um
he's a good fit there too. And so it's just like hard to
oh,
doubt
right.
that
And,
team week
and
in,
and
week
there's
out.
not there's no pressure on him to really win down there, right? Mainly because they just won several years ago, and they don't. That's not a city. That's not a football city. It's not. Um, you know, they
But it's
make.
in the state of Florida, so
Yeah, he's gonna say Florida, but I'm saying, but that, like, as someone who was down there, like,
it's
that's
tough to be an NFL franchise in the state of
it's
Florida,
it's it's Dolphins, it's Dolphins.
Well, it's like Florida,
No, right, but I'm
right?
saying
Like just football
like,
across the board. It's like it's
it's football across
Florida
the board, but I'm saying like that Tampa in itself is not. That's you don't look at Tampa and think like it's just not. That's not a
because
football.
it's all college football fans down there. That's why though, right? I imagine everyone that lives in
So
Tampa
yeah,
is a
you got you
fucking
got you
Gators
got
fan.
you no, well, not it depends. Northern Florida, like yeah, like Gators. You got FAMU, but then you come down in the middle of there. Oh, not Lakeland, but sorry, some of y'all gonna be like, you got it wrong. But you got UCF, USF. Uh,
So it does break up that much.
it
There's
breaks
that
it
many
like the
people that are
footprint in that
college
area.
football fans
Yeah,
that I'm sure you'll find like pockets of Gators fans everywhere you go, or like FSU fans wherever you go. But like,
right,
it does
correct,
break up that much that there's diehards of like even the smaller college schools, like because it's a college football state. So
right.
you have these three franchises there that really can't get a fucking look in. Even when they do well, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. Well, we don't know. Maybe Jacksonville this year. We'll see.
Well,
And
I'm dude,
and to your point, like the Dolphins are the only ones that really get paid attention to, and that's more because they're Miami, not Florida.
correct. But I would tell people there's Florida, then there's Miami. Miami's a
Yeah,
whole different area.
yeah,
Like it's wild. It's
yeah.
wild.
But
So
there's also like Heat fans and Dolphins fans that live there, and they have their own sort of city identity. I think, like for better or for worse, like whatever you feel about those teams and those people, I don't care. I'm just saying they do have, to me, like even someone who's never lived there, because I'm just trying to understand what you're explaining is there's people that you would meet that would be Miami Dolphins fans and Miami Heat fans, right? And they're very different than the people you meet that are like Florida fans, like that are
yeah.
in a completely different. There, it's a different cultural subset of human
But
beings.
even in Miami, in my opinion, once again, those that listen may say otherwise. I would say it's the U first, right? It's the U, the Dolphins, then the Heat, then the Marlins, way down below. So
Interesting.
the U is first.
Interesting. Because I was thinking I was given like a lot more, I was given a country vibe to Tampa Bay by saying they were probably all Florida fans. Like, I don't,
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Like to me, I'm just like I
because
don't
I thought the U for sure in Miami, like
know
obviously.
for sure, but I haven't met well did work with one, but I don't know too many Tampa Bay fans. You
Right.
know, like I know some USF, I know UCF, but I don't know any. Tampa Bay fans like that. Like that's just not a thing. Even with Tampa Bay Rays, like I'm just like, how did y'all get two pro teams and y'all don't come out and support nothing? Like that's crazy. That's not a shot. This is the truth. Like there's many other things you could do in Tampa, so it's just like it's just not it's not appealing. But it is what it is.
Interesting. So interesting. I learned a little geography there. We went from
Yeah.
history to geography when you're here with Professor Buchanan. That's just what happens. All right, let's talk about this last tier. I feel like maybe we didn't give enough time to the Rams, but a lot was
I
to be
mean, we
expected
love Matt
about them.
Stafford. We know the
Yeah, I'd like to see them more in context as we go. We got plenty of season to talk about them. I want to move on to the top tier here because there's a lot of interesting storylines. Packers are 4, Ravens are 3, Bills are 2, Eagles are 1. And I think that that makes sense, right? As much as I'm going to do a very ESPN sentence here, but as much as the Ravens had the most debilitating loss, I think, of the weekend, maybe the Bears could give them a run for their money, but I don't know because the stakes are a lot higher when you're the Ravens. You're playing a AFC playoff Super Bowl road to the Super Bowl rival, and to lose like that, and to be that much up, and to be the team that if a lead was a penis, they would blow it on a regular basis. They would be the lead would be the happiest husband on the block. Um, they have the Ravens have a terrible,
funny.
terrible record for letting up comeback wins. The Bills will get you if you give it to them, and I thought a well-deserved win based on how the Ravens played. That being said, I hate to even stomach saying this, but the Packers look really good. The Packers looked really fucking good. And that not happening to the Packers, I might argue the Packers should be 3 and the Ravens 4. Would that be a reactionary take?
No, I once again, I think that I thought what I thought would happen happened until the end. Like I thought Baltimore would come into Buffalo and just give it to them. I really did. I was like, because we've seen it. I'm like, this is what they do in the regular season. They come and give you numbers, and then they may tail off come postseason. But I what I thought was going to happen happened, and then he's 16 in the fourth quarter. It was just like that's
Yeah.
insane. That's wild. And I think we talk about John Harbaugh being on the hot seat? Didn't we talk about that? Like
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's been a running power rankings thread
right.
since like the start of last
And
season. Yeah.
it's just like he's a really good coach, obviously, right? He's a really good coach. Been to several AFC championship games, has won the Super Bowl, always is a perennial contender in his 16 years there, 17 years there. It might be time for a new voice. Once again, I can't get on Tomlin and not say the same thing about Harbaugh.
Hmm.
Maybe time. Once again, just because you keep going to the playoffs and you're 11-6 or you're 14-3 now.
I find that so disappointing because I do think that a perspective, right, where you can say maybe John Harbaugh deserves to like some looking into, right? We'll put it that way.
Right.
But one thing I did see is the first playoff. We always talk about this, like the regular season versus the playoffs. Like there's teams that we don't even talk about come playoff time that are legit regular season competitors. The Vikings come to mind, right? I tell you guys every single year as we enter the playoffs, when it comes up that the 12 win or 13 win Vikings are like going to play the X or Y team. I'm like, they could lose. It's the Vikings. They could lose. It's Kirk Cousins. Like they're regular season merchants. Like this is the thing I say every single time. The Ravens are a legitimate playoff contender team. The argument between you and Mike about Lamar Jackson was, in my opinion, essentially solved last season. Like that was a loss that was not his fault. And he showed that he can go vertical and manage a playoff game and win it, I think, with aplomb. And I think that we saw that. So I'm not going to turn around and just like forget that Lamar Jackson could do that. That being said, now that we know he can do that, maybe we need a
Oh,
legitimate, a different style to get him to the promised land because
right.
like this blowing leads and losing playoff games thing isn't going to work anymore when you know it's not his fault.
Well, so and we had more of that talk on Monday, right, per usual. But my issue wasn't last season. It was the year before. You had Kansas City at the crib. You had him.
Yeah,
You
I
had him at
know.
the crib. You got the home field
But whose
advantage.
fault was that? That you can blame more on Lamar for just chucking it up in
But,
the fucking
that's what I'm
air.
saying though.
Yeah.
That's where I was just like, damn, like that it's hard for me to defend you on this day because
Mike was taking a full season
oh
victory lap before that
full
last
yeah.
one.
I mean
But then all of a sudden, conveniently, I'm not going to let this narrative die. I saw Lamar Jackson put up legit playoff performances for the first time. That happened. And the take was that that was never going to happen. Right. So, like, let's
oh
not do
right,
revisionist
right.
history. And now we're saying Harbaugh's on the hot seat. I mean, I still take Lamar Jackson top three, right? Like I just do, especially because I saw what he could do in the playoffs. Like now that question I think has been answered. So it puts Harbaugh, unfortunately, even more on the hot seat because you sort of say to yourself, it's the kind of guy you got to give a whole season to. Unfortunately, you got to give him one more whole season of
No,
playoff run because they're gonna
for sure.
win
But
12 plus games.
like you have to make the AFC Championship game. You have to at least, at least.
Yeah, them Bills. Them Bills is like we saw an AFC Championship preview, right? Like we fully saw that because that's possible, right?
Yeah, I mean they're the two best teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
Period. Period. By far.
What
So
you don't think the Chiefs?
they're not. They have the best. They have the best player. They're the best team though. They're the best player.
But so like you're essentially saying if you look at it from an alternate perspective, you're betting on either Jackson or Allen to get over the Mahomes hump in the playoffs.
Or even our boy Burrow too. Like Burrow's the only one that came in there and got him.
So
That's
that,
all.
but I mean that's a big declaration that basically like they're not going to make the Super Bowl this year. You're saying the Chiefs are not making the Super Bowl this year. It's not happening.
Let's go there.
I love that.
But once again,
Amazing.
I'm a fan of the
I
fan.
agree.
I'm the fan of the fan base that, for 15 to 20 years, you guys would say that every year about how collectively, about how we were done. I remember 2014 specifically, we get blown up by Kansas City on the Monday night in Arrowhead, 41-14. And the whole Steve Young and all of them going on there, man, I don't know if they could do this, and they're this, they're that. And then it got to get Seattle down 10 in the fourth, find a way to win, right? Go to the next fourth, the next six Super Bowls after that. Like, it's just like we have to be careful. Obviously, putting the cart before the horse, but and there's a time other teams caught on. Well, obviously the Giants won during our time. The Steelers won a couple of times. Baltimore got in there and won. I'm trying to think who else won during that time. Indianapolis won. You know what I'm saying? So other teams can't get in. So I do view Allen and Jackson and Burrow as the other three guys, and we know this because
Yeah.
that's not anything perfect that we're saying. But if you're going to cash in, it has to be now. Once again, Brady had down years, and I say down years going 14-2, but we lose to the Jets and the divisional round, lose to Denver. Like, so there was moments that happened. You have to strike because if not, you're not going to ever get it. But I know that 15, if he given the opportunity, he's going to get you. But I don't. The rest of y'all haven't proven that. But 15, if you give him the opportunity and he's down five with a minute and a half, you're losing. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, and
no.
we all know too. We're all gonna say
We
it
all know
right
what's
in
gonna
that like
happen.
when the clock strikes that time, we're all gonna be like, you're gonna lose. Just so you
Yeah.
know. Like
So
we're gonna know for a fact. On
yep.
that note, Ray, I just want to finish this with putting the Eagles sort of in their own tier.
Yes.
Sometimes it's tough with the power rankings because it's basically been a week since we watched the Eagles play Dallas. But if you could just indulge me and cast your mind back to that sort of ill weather delayed Micah Parsons isn't there. Very strange sort of football game to start out the year. I saw some red flags with the Eagles, to be honest with you. I think if you're the Super Bowl winner and you're the number one, like de facto number one pick in the power rankings, I think style points matter. And I know you won the game, but you let that Dallas Cowboys offense move fucking weight on you, dude. Like right under your nose. Like I saw it. I get that you still have the best offensive line in football, and that's probably going to pay dividends again, at least in the NFC, right? I would hesitate to guess against them, at least in the NFC. I know you have the best running back in football. I know your defense is still sick, but your D line used to be the thing, right? Like the D line was the thing, and the D line didn't look amazing. So don't want to overreact, but I want to make sure we register this, right? So what was your overall take? And even if you wanted to, I don't know, give some Dallas Cowboys feedback. Bobby's not here, so we could do it for him.
I think that what you thought happened in your game happened in that game.
Interesting.
I think the refs took over, which kept it close. Um,
Hmm.
Dallas is not on Philly's level. They're just not.
No, they're not.
I'm saying though, but when calls are being made to keep it close, you see a product what's going on. You don't want to be the first game of the night and you lose 41-10.
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen. You can't as a
Yeah.
product, you don't want that to happen. So
The game was also weird as shit. So it's like it
right.
really was the game we learned the least from.
Right.
of
So
because the game was weird and what happens at the very start with your best defensive player. Like obviously you're screaming into your radios right now. It's like, well, we didn't have our best D lineman. That was really dumb. That with the
yeah,
thing
but
that got him kicked out of the game though.
it's
So
that's this is not college football. There's so
yeah,
many guys on that team that's talented that can play. So even if you lost Jalen Carter for the game, but you
and they
did,
still won the game.
right, you still won. Now people have been beating their chest about Jalen Hurts. I don't see. Okay, from a winning perspective, I get why people believe that he's top five. I really
I
do.
think he's an impossible player to like scheme against.
But
Is the
it's just
thing.
like, but when you're throwing for a buck 60, like that screams Alex Smith. It, it just does.
Yeah,
Um,
but no, it doesn't though. Like, I mean, come on. Like you,
but no,
the eye test
no,
is
but
like
no,
not Alex Smith, not even close.
the reason, well, no, Alex Smith when healthy was at least serviceable, right to the
I
point.
know, but it's just not. It's not like he's not serviceable. He's winning them games.
What is he the reason why they win all the time?
He's the reason why they won the game they played against the Chiefs, the game before the game we just watched. He's the reason why they won the Super Bowl.
Well,
At least that one
I mean,
game
thankfully he finally got them right because they played a couple of times and they lost. But it's just like at some point, I hope you'd
when
be
it
right.
counted.
But yeah, of course, when it counted for sure. But that's what I mean. Though. I feel
I'm
like,
not necessarily beating my chest about Hurts. Like I think you're putting me in a weird position here because I
well,
think
no,
mechanically there are really weird things
let
about
me
him.
go. No, because let me go a step further. Because I don't want to make it's not a bash. It's more of a like I see him as how Cam and some others saw him. Right. I'm okay with saying that he's a game manager, but he's an elite game manager. Like, make sure you put the elite before game manager because that's what he's doing out there, right? He's not going to go 27 of 37.
That's kind of how the team's built, though, you know.
That's not. That's just not. He's not. That's not going to happen.
But
Um,
that's completely fine for how they're built.
no, right, but it's like when you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, you should be just up and down, going crazy on people. Like
I'll take your point
that's
on
what
that.
people feel.
I'll take your point on that because I think that I heard a lot of a lot of Smith Brown lack of production conversations, and it's like,
Right,
well, we got to talk about where the ball's coming from because
right,
I don't
right,
think they're getting the same kind of caliber of
right,
vertical service that other teams might be
right,
getting. I
right.
agree with that. I take your point there. It's just that like he's now a proven winner, so it's just hard. You know what I mean? Like
No,
it's
right, but that's where this is where he gets put into the and I'm not comparing him to who I'm about to say. I'm a fan of a guy that y'all called a game manager for years, and Tom Brady. And the
well,
first
no one calls him that anymore,
I'm saying, but the
but they
first
did. I agree.
but he's Jalen Hurts is in that part of his
Yeah,
career right now, right? Because this
yeah.
is the first 7, 8 years, right? Brady's first 7, 8 years. A lot of y'all saw him as a game manager, and he was for the most part, right? The game that I think against St. Louis, he was 16 to 29, I think a buck 54, right? So that's game management. But once again, by the time we got to Carolina, he figured it out. By the time he played Philly, he really figured it out. Wasn't that great against the Giants in both Super Bowls. Philly again really figured it out. Threw for 500 against Atlanta. He figured it like so. It's just like right now, it's okay for those that say that he's a game manager because he is. But I feel like people are getting emotional about that title, and it's like no, he's a game manager. He's killing it. Maybe he.
I think that they're what you're I know what you mean. I think what they're doing is they're applying the same sort of negative connotations that system quarterback comes with. And I think that
Yeah,
like
The Tim Duncan argument.
yeah, well, kind of because it's like it's not really that. It's more just like when you call someone a system QB, you're essentially saying your offense is so good, that's why you look good. When you call someone a game manager, I still think that that person's winning you games. I think the only sort of indictment on it is that they're not like a playmaker. You know, like they don't like it's like they play within the context of the game and they win the games, right? Like, and I think Hertz is that to a certain extent. I also think I think it maybe is an unfair title because on the other end, because he is weirdly doing both, right? He is game managing, but I guess like how you put it, elite in an elite way. Like he's game managing in a way where it's like
Yeah,
he's
like
also he's popping
right.
off with like
Mhm,
genuine game winning plays
mhm.
during, and you can do that as a game manager. It's not a real criticism here. You can do that. But like you can break off. You're not a system QB. You're not benefiting from the routes, and you're not Jared Goffing. You're not Alex Smithing. You're not necessarily Chad Penningtoning, but you're you know like you have a lot of talent around you, and like you're utilizing that talent for the exact right amount that it takes to win a game of football up until the point of the most important game of football of the year, proven, right? So it's like game manager. And like to your point about Brady, I wouldn't hate a game manager in that case if that's what a game manager
No,
is.
right, but that's what I'm saying. I think because that was the big Brady Manning thing early on, right? It was like even Big Ben, like we looked at him
That's
at
a better comp.
like Hurts and Ben.
Hurts and Big Ben is a better comp as far it's just in the context of the game manager
Sure,
like
sure,
sort of
but
thing.
I seen Roethlisberger go 15-1 his
I
rookie.
know, I know.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
you
So
also saw him throw for
like,
like 400 yards a couple
yeah,
times. Yeah,
and once again, Pittsburgh fan. This is not shade. I'm thinking about this.
he had a cannon too.
So thinking about once again, I Hines Ward was cold. So was Antoine Randall. And
Yeah,
trying to think who else was on that offensive
I
side.
mean,
But Willie Parker,
inches
whatever, right?
catches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Willie Parker, whatever. That trio is not Saquon, Devontae Smith, and AJ Brown. I'm sorry, it's not.
Oh, I honestly think Roethlisberger has an MVP season with that
But
with that
okay.
roster.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's
Like if he walks in now and it's him at like 27 with
right,
that core,
right.
yeah, no question about it.
Once again,
They'd be unbeatable.
but the thing about okay, if you put Herbert over there, it'd be crazy. If you and people say, well, no, but they won with them.
But
Yeah,
would it all fall apart though? Would it all fall apart because it hinges on his sort of like they've built it around to a certain extent, they've built it around how he plays football?
I think they've made sure that every part of their team was so stacked that
It
all he
didn't
had to do
matter.
was just don't F it up. Don't
Yeah.
F it up.
Except he did look
Which is
really good
fine,
in the
which is
Super
fine.
Bowl. He
That's
looked
at least
really good in the Super Bowl. They like left him alone. They chose to like go with that philosophy from a defensive standpoint, the Chiefs did, and they were like, all right, we'll make him beat us, and then he did.
well, the thing is, remember the year before though, he went for like 300 yards, but then they lost, right? And I think people was like, well, maybe that's not the way for them to win is him throwing for 300 or more.
Right.
So,
The trenches is how they look good. Like
right.
it's
And
Saquon, but it's also like Saquon wins because that he's an elite
mhm,
running back running into the best blocking in the
right,
NFL right now.
right.
That's how they win offensive football games most of the time. I'm
Mhm.
just saying like I think it's somewhere in the middle. Like I agree with you that people are beating their chest about Hurts where it's like you can't like well he doesn't get enough credit and it's like yeah no I get it. Like I do understand where you're coming from. But I also don't think it's the other thing. I don't think it's like either side of the spectrum in an extreme. I think it's like I think he's if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, you should be delighted right
Yeah,
now.
'cause
That's what I think.
people felt the same way about Brock Purdy a few years ago.
Yeah. They still do.
Right. But I say, but like
Brock Purdy's a legitimate QB. And if you don't
I,
think so, like I don't know. You haven't
no,
been
no,
watching him.
for sure. But what I'm saying is that but he's in that mold, but it's like they just haven't been able to get over the hump, obviously, with that group. And once again, they also had a lot of talent. So
Yeah.
from Kittle but they also have suffered from more injuries than most other teams. So that would change the trajectory of their team come playoff time. But once again, it's cool to be an elite game manager. To me, it shouldn't come with a negative connotation.
If they had any of the QBs we just named, we wouldn't even bother talking about football for the rest of the fucking season. Thank God it
Oh,
hurts.
but that's what I'm saying. That's why I think the Cam Newtons of the world were justified, but because people look at Cam and always remember what happened against Denver, they try to disqualify. And I'm talking about this is fans online, which to me is it's insane.
I mean, I don't think it's a fair comp because I think Cam is clearly the better like quarterback. Clearly.
Right, because even you put Cam with once again, Cam got to there with Greg Olsen as his best target. He was
Greg
throwing
Olsen
the
was
tag
good.
again. Like I need people to understand. Like, and once again, this is not. I'm not.
No,
It's
Cam had MVP quality years. Like I don't think Hurts
no,
is
right, but I'm
gonna
like,
have one
dog,
of those.
he was throwing the Teddy, like he was throwing the Ted again, y'all. Ted
Yeah.
again. Once again, we know. Listen. For those that I can already hear the Ohio State fan. Once again, and Ohio State, Teddy Gill was different. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
In the pros, he was Desmond Howard, and I remember Desmond Howard. Like I said the Heisman when he was at Michigan, he's on College Game Day now with Kirk Herbstreit and the great Lee Corso. Like, well, no, he just retired, but it's just like. That's what Ted Ginn was. He was Desmond Howard. And once again, it was cool because Desmond Howard was a problem in college, but they both fizzled out in the NFL.
Yeah.
The only difference is that Desmond Howard was a Super Bowl MVP when they beat the Patriots I think in '97. But it's just like that's what he was. And I'm like, dude, he got there with Greg Olsen as the number one guy.
I
And
thought Greg Olsen
the
was
Legion
good.
of Boom into Seattle and beat them in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He get there. So and smoked Arizona.
It's
Like,
true.
and Larry Fitzgerald, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just think to me, like that's another guy too. I think about Larry Fitzgerald, but that'd be another thing, another topic for another day. That people don't look at him as a quote unquote winner because of how things face out. I'm like, dog, he scored what would have been a winning touchdown
It
against
would have been like the best winning touchdown in the
like
history
ever.
of like
Like I
like the
said,
best receiving touchdown
I
in the
said they
history of
couldn't.
the
I said
Super
they
Bowl.
couldn't guard Antonio Holmes.
Yeah.
I said, but Larry Fitzgerald, you can't tell me a bad game he had in the playoffs.
I mean that catch was unbelievable. That would have gone down in history if that didn't
Crazy,
happen.
crazy,
If
but
they didn't just march back up the field and Santonio Holmes all over everybody. Like
crazy, crazy.
that was such an awesome Super Bowl.
It was. It was. Like I said, we just gotten so many different ideas. I think from even doing this show tonight that we could just go in many different directions. This is podcasting right here. This is not something. This is not radio. This is podcasting for sure. Where just jump into 1,000 different things and then we rein it back into the top 10.
Somehow. Okay, overarching lessons. The Bengals are still not playing as good as they should be playing. The Bucks are the first feisty team of the year. We're pretty okay with a lot of our predictions after week one, but we didn't learn a ton. We should keep a close eye on the Eagles. We should keep a close eye on the Bills, the Ravens. The Packers are probably about as good as I thought they were going to be, and that's depressing. The Chargers, I think they could go either way. They're at 5 right now. I think they could rise or fall. I'd probably say fall is more likely, but we'll see. The Lions, it looked worrying. It genuinely looked worrying without the coordinators. It didn't quite look the same, but let's give them a little time. I think they've earned it. Any other broad overarching points, Ray, that stuck out to you over the weekend? And how excited are you for football to be back, man? What a fun first
Um,
weekend.
yeah, I mean, I can't wait to overreact to week two as well.
Oh, and when we talk about Eagles Chiefs being at 125 when the night game that week is Chargers Raiders, you
Wild.
got to flex that or something. Do some
Yeah,
shit.
I
That's
mean, I maybe
crazy.
because it's too early in the season, but like that's yeah.
It's the Super Bowl replay. Fucking put it at night.
No facts, facts.
Jesus Christ.
I
That's
think
so
maybe
bad.
maybe because I don't know maybe
Chargers
the Hawks,
Raiders
but yeah. No,
on Sunday night
it's Falcons Vikings right that
or on
night.
Monday night.
Oh
Falcons same point.
yeah.
A little bit better of a point. A little bit better of a point, but you have two Monday night games. Eagles Chiefs don't make either of those. You have Buccaneers Texans, which okay, I'm actually looking forward to that. And then you have Chargers Raiders, which I will see. But if the Raiders continue to look, I guess how they looked against you guys, but they won't. The Chargers are going to win that game. So Falcons Vikings is all right.
Mhm.
Sort of looking forward to it, but Eagles Chiefs should be the night game surely. One of those three. What's the
Agree.
Thursday game?
Commanders Packers.
Okay, no, that's pretty good. I'll
Yeah, it
take that.
is. It is. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'll take that.
I think because obviously, and
Chargers Raiders is the one.
but
That is the one that should be swapping with Eagles Chiefs.
no, but the overarching like theme or thought that I had was they switched up how they do the games because I felt like CBS was always Team AFC and
Mm-hmm.
Fox was NFC.
100%. Yeah.
But I feel like they kind of like they're juggling it around now, which is why I
Hmm.
think they got the 4 o'clock game at for Eagles Chiefs because that's America's game of the week as they'll brand it as.
It's not going well so
By
far.
far, by far.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just don't know if KC goes 0-2. I don't know if they allow that.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, you're right. I think bet the Eagles going into week 2 despite because you'll get a little odds on them not being just as good as they should have been against the Cowboys.
right, right. But like I said, I'm ready. I'm ready for the week two overreactions. I'm ready to respond to it. I'm
You
ready.
should smack the Dolphins. If you don't, I think we need to have a real come to Jesus moment on one of the two shows.
Honestly,
I think you already did. I think we should.
I need a win. So I just need. I
Yeah.
don't care if it's 20-17. I don't care if it's 41-10. I need a win. Period.
We didn't talk about the Texans this week, but I was a little disappointed with their play too, to be honest with you. They're playing the Buccaneers team we were pretty high on this week, so like let's see.
I think yeah. I mean, but it's been on par with what we talked about, and that Rams defense looks better than we thought. So I mean,
Yeah,
so be it.
that's a good point.
San Francisco
Um,
better than I thought too. So
yeah, fair enough. I guess I was wrong about the Panthers. I mean, I said they weren't going to be good, but I thought Bryce was going to look a little bit better because he had a few good games at the end of last season,
yep.
but
And
guess
I
not.
thought he figured it out, but yeah, it
And
looked
Spencer Rattler and the Saints, like, don't get too excited there either. They still have the worst QB in the league. All right.
Arizona,
For
Arizona beat
huh?
them. I said Arizona beat them.
Yeah, no, I know, but they like looked sort of like better against them in the first half than they should have, and then people were like, "Whoa, remember they have guys on the offensive side of the ball," and I'm like, "No, I know, but like Spencer Rattler's their QB. Like we're not going to talk about them in the power rankings much as time goes on. I think the 49ers are going to go into New Orleans and win. Um, maybe they come up with a conversation a little bit more down the line. And also, I'd love to honorable mention next week the Jags if they continue, because if they beat the Bengals, because the Bengals didn't look quick out to start, the Jags look pretty good. They kind of look like like close to what our ceiling of expectations were going to be for them. So. I mean, I know they played the Panthers, but it's just like, let's see how they look against the Bengals, and then we'll actually have a conversation about them. So, good setup, nice context for next week. I hope we can have you back on. Actually, I'm not going to be here next week, so I hope you're on to continue these threads. I'm off next week, so hopefully you and Bob or some combination of the rest of the three of you can pull at these threads or create new ones. But this has been the Power Ranking Show. Thanks to Bobby for making the top 10. I definitely want to get him back on consistently so we can talk about the fact that he did all 32 teams before we got into this year. And I really want to talk about the teams in the context of like where they were preseason, right? Like how many ups and downs those teams have taken. So I'll task Bobby with that. But for myself, DK Sizzle, for Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan, for the rest of the Missing the Point crew, including the real BK made the rankings, for our producer Craig, this has been Missing the Point. Thank you.